Hey, what's going on? This is Sunshine.
And E.
All right, and it is time for
Story time.
All right.
Yes. Step on in here, you YouTubers. Glad you came back.
We're going to be doing some questions today. This kind of our story time way of. That's our kind of our way of doing story time. Instead of going to the stories, we ask questions so we can give you our story behind those questions. And before we get started, if you all can like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, also share and comment below, especially with story time. But we got a question today. I did the last one. She's going to be doing this one. But, I mean, you got a question? Leave it to you.
Yeah. Okay, so I selected and, I sit down in my little corner sometimes and I try to figure out questions when we started thinking that we were going to present this platform, story time, to you guys. And I was struggling with one particular one, so I was talking to a couple of people at work, and one in particular person told me, why don't I try this question? If you had, and I'm sure it's been a display before, but she said, if you were able to be displayed the date of your death, would you want to know? Would you want to know the time, the cause of when you were gonna pass or leave this earth? Would you want to know?
You know, that's it's kind of a tricky question. I've heard this question asked before.
That's why I said it's something that's probably been asked before.
But it's really a tough question because if the time and place, the time is like I guess would be out of your hands, but the place isn't. So if somebody said you were in Florida on
Okay, let me rephrase that then.
You could just not go to Florida on that time.
Okay, let me. What?
I mean, if they took the time and place.
Well, let's put it like that. Let me take the place out of that equation. Let's put the date that you would pass and the cause.
The cause of death. Okay.
Let's do it that way.
Okay, that's cool. Would I want to know? Well, if it was just strictly that and I couldn't really ask any of the questions to find out, because under certain circumstances I would want to know, because you want to be prepared and ready. And if it was something where other people are really affected deeply on it, it's not just, if they told me, okay, you're going to be 98 years old and die of heart failure because it just gave out then I'm like, okay, I can know that. Because, I mean, that's fine. Because, I mean, it's not unexpected. But if it's like, you're going to come home from work one day and a deer's going to run out in front of the street. You try to avoid deer under the tree. And, you're 32 years old. Yeah, I might, that's a little different. It's like, man, I kind of weigh that a little bit differently. So, I mean, if I don't really know, I would have to say, no, I don't want to know. I just think that ultimately would be the best. And just prepare as best you can for that day, far as financially or, getting all your stuff in order. So when that day comes, you're ready. That's only the best way I can answer that, is that I probably wouldn't want to know unless it's something like, 98 years old and, that kind of thing. Okay.
So what would you select as a way of death?
Oh, I thought you said, would I want to know the time and death, meaning would I want to know any of those? I thought those were together saying, did you want to know or not want to know? So I was like...
Right, did you want to know or not want to know, plus also the cause of...
Now the cause that do I want to know
I didn't say cause, huh?
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't say cause, but I'm just saying if you knew how you would pass or whatever. How would you want to pass? What would be your selection
Oh, okay.
that you would say, okay, yeah, if I pass,
Right.
this is the way I want to
Well,
go.
I mean, really, the 98 years old or higher type, the 103 years old, that kind of stuff is really what I push. Because I would want to be in a situation, because when I die, my pain is gone away. Any issues or whatever are gone. It's just the people I leave behind. So I think if you're 98, 105 years old, there's some
People would say-
expectation that,
Some people say, oh, he lived a good life.
Yeah, they would say he lived a long life. Or, to be honest with you, which is not necessarily good for me, but for the people I leave behind, I think it's almost better that I'm sickly the last few years, because then they can prepare themselves more. And it's not like, oh, it's devastating. It'd be tough on them to deal with the sickness. And I'm not talking about sickness where I'm just, in agony, moaning and groaning, that kind of stuff. Just maybe just totally just out of it, just there. And there's a better preparation that they can make for my death, and it's better on them. Because once I go, my pain's gone away. So any time, as far as cause of death, if I could choose, I want to choose. Of course, everybody want to live an old age, but along with that, just for the people I leave behind, I kind of want it to be some kind of struggle or some kind of foreshadowing for a couple months or even half year that, okay, this is coming. We know it's going to come. So now let's prepare for it so it'll be a lot easier on them.
Okay. To interject a little bit what you said, I don't think there's no preparation. I don't think sick or not. People think that they're prepared, and some people are prepared, when they lose their loved one. But until it happens,
Right.
emotionally, it's hard to determine, if you're going to be, I'm going to be prepared. Or, mentally you say maybe, but in your heart,
I guess I said better prepared, I should say. Yeah, more better prepared.
Yeah. So my thing is, I'm just going on history on certain of people who were sickly or whatever. And I'm going to use this as an example. I'm going to say cancer. Okay. I think a lot of people, depending on the individual, once they find out that they have cancer, some people just go straight downhill and they lose their will to live.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that. So I don't know that knowing. We all know we're going to pass. We just don't know the day, time, But in this case of this question,
right,
we know.
You could know. Yeah,
you could know. Yeah. But I still don't. That was my own question, right? I don't even know. But I don't think I would want to know.
Under any circumstance.
Under any circumstance.
Okay.
Well, then yeah.
But if you did know, would you tell other people around you if you found out?
I mean, I probably would. I probably would tell if I knew. But I don't think I'd want to know the passing,
Right.
But I think most people selecting the way they're going to pass would be in their sleep, and that's what I would select. I would like to pass peacefully in my sleep. I don't like pain, even though I have a high tolerance for pain. I just don't think, I just want to be peaceful. And I don't know that people who pass in their sleep, because you don't know that they pass in their sleep. Did they really pass peacefully?
Right.
They could have passed in pain and agony.
Yeah.
We don't know if you weren't there and watched them.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think in my sleep, and I don't think that I would want to know. That's just.
But I don't know. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but I don't know if sleep is a cause of death. I mean, you said just when you sleep, but it's a cause of death. It doesn't really matter. It's just, whatever it is, you rather do it in your sleep.
Right. I said the way you.
Oh, I thought you meant from like cancer or something. I thought you mentioned that.
I mentioned that because I was trying to say that once people know, they already feel like they have their death sentence right then, when that's not always the case. And some people's downfall or demise at that point goes that way, because then they start willing to live because, well, I'm going to die.
I wonder. I don't know. I don't know if there's any psychologists out there or psychiatrists out there. I don't know which one is more qualified to answer this question. What does that say about me or say about you, where I'm okay with having the 6-month struggle, at the end of my life, and you saying I'd rather just not, just kind of go peacefully in my sleep? What does that say about me or you in any way? Because my thing is, I just think that I go through illness or sickness from time to time in my life anyways. Maybe not as bad as going through something that's going to take you out or you're going to die from, but I'm like, this is my last struggle. For me, it's worth it going through that last struggle for the people I leave behind.
I mean, I agree with that. I agree with that, because you would want to give your goodbyes. You would want to, them to see you through. That's the only thing that would change my mind on knowing, would be for that reason, for them and for myself, So, I mean, I agree with that. And I meant to say that, but I totally, it just didn't roll off. Yeah. But yeah, because certain things I'm afraid of. I don't really like weapons, definitely afraid of flipping in a car, and it's just tragic makes me nervous. Sickness, the suffering, it's just I don't know. It's weird because we're all laid out on however it's going to occur, because we know it's going to occur.
Yeah, most people don't. I mean, of course, you don't want anybody to die, especially somebody that you care about, love, whatever. You won't want them to die. But it seems like sickness and tragedy seems to be more palatable or more accepting or easy to accept. The things that's hard to accept, which I don't want, like the tallest man in the world. I think he died from infection, cut his hand or something like that. It's just hard to. I don't want to go simple things like that. I was drinking soda and there was a bee in the can. And he went down my throat and bit and suffocated. Stuff like that. That stuff has really happened. It seems I wouldn't want to die of no freak accident. Like if I just got by 2 minutes of my life or 2 minutes of that time, I would have kept on living. Those are things but I can almost deal with suffering. I can almost deal with a tragedy because those things happen every day. So to some level, it's to be expected. But when you do some kind of freak things or crazy, those are things like someone. I remember my brother worked for Domino's Pizza, and there was a guy that was delivering the pizza. And this is years ago. He don't work there at Domino's anymore. But this is years ago, back when he was in college. And the guy was driving a truck, just back when you didn't have to drive your own, they had their own provider. And he got in an accident, and he came back to the place, and they said, "You all right?" I said, "No, I'm good, or whatever." He said, "No, I'm good." He stayed, but I guess he bumped his head or something, got a clot, and died. Freaky stuff like that. Those are things where he was just like, "I'm fine, I'm okay," and stuff like that. Those are the ways I really wouldn't want to die.
I had a classmate, I think, lost their spouse that way, and I mean, she was displaying it all on, Facebook, showed us the vehicle. The vehicle looked really bad. And she said he's fine, took pictures of him walking through the hospital, everything. Within a week, he was gone. Or something like that. I don't want to get the wrong, but it was just really close, but it was confirmed. I think if I remember, she confirmed it was from the accident. And I was like, wow. I mean, just like you were saying. But that's why, when we met, and even with my mother and stuff, that's why when we leave each other, that's why I've always displayed, we always kiss one another, because we never know if that's the last kiss we're going to have. My mother, when we would hang up, before we would hang up the phone, we don't know if that's the last call. So we would give certain information to you, we see you later, or that kind of thing. We wouldn't say goodbye.
See, and we're I don't drag it out, but it's just like everybody has their different views of it. Like I'm willing to play my part in that. Meaning, I'm willing to accept that there's a person that feels a certain way. I just have the thought that regardless of what happens, you know who you left behind or whatever, you got to know that not saying, hey, see you later, the kiss, if that didn't happen, that there's any less of the connection from
Not
that.
saying that.
I know that. I'm just saying, so people do it, but I'm just saying, I hear people say, man, I feel so bad. That's the one time I didn't say I love you or I didn't say bye or whatever. But you got to know that that person would understand that. You know, so I'm just saying, for me, I try to find comfort in that. If issues happen that way, that person had to know. And that, for people, you got to know that I'm going to feel that way about, you know. So,
Well,
but I understand
but when you know, and even in some instances, if you were, okay, you didn't kiss one another to goodbye, or you just had an argument, you know, that's why I say never go to sleep angry or after an argument or something like that. So, I mean, that's the same thing, because then that's the last way, regardless of how you feel about whatever, you know, that, you know, that's something that sticks with a person.
Yeah, I completely understand that, and I completely understand it. But for me, I wouldn't lose ground on it because I know that person, and even if that's like, man, I wish I would have. Man, that would have been better that happened. I still would find comfort in the fact, but I know that person, and it's not like we still had the connection, so I'm not going to down myself that much about it because I understood that person. That was just a timing situation. That's kind of how I look at it. But, you know, for that person, I wouldn't have any issue with, you know, staying on task with that. So, I mean, that's just how I feel. But y'all let us know how I feel. We'll start getting a little deep there. You know, let's get some tissue around here. No. But we all hope people in good health and everything. But we're going to get out of here. And in these questions, in these story times, one of the best things that you can do for us outside of liking and subscribing is actually go ahead and commenting. That's real big for us, especially it's kind of getting a you know, little compass or feel of what do y'all like, what questions y'all like, and what are y'all getting information that from us that you like, wow, I didn't know they felt that way or whatever. But until then, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I do believe that's it.
Yep, that is it. Thanks for following Sunshine and E.